everybody, and welcome back to Grains of Truth, which is our Witcher TTRPG game by our Talsorian Games. What's that face?
Nothing. Just getting some things ready on my end.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Help us. Help.
I'm scared.
Welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the channel. If you like what you see today, please do consider dropping us a follow. If you even like what you see even more, please follow us and subscribe. Wow, God, it's a good start today. Intro is on fire as ever. Also, past VODs and future VODs of this session and other TTRPGs that we play on this channel will be going up on YouTube, which will be at the handy dandy link, which you can find right in the chat right now, if I can spell YouTube right. There we go. Click on that link, give us a subscribe, and you can catch our past, present, and future adventures on there. Before I hand over to Jason, do we have any plugs, any other shows we're all appearing on, or anything we would like to boost?
Oh man, the stampede for everyone to run at once.
I know.
Well, I happen to be on a couple of lovely shows. One is Curry On, that was yesterday here. And well, no, that don't really make any sense because if they watch it on another day, they'd just assume it was the day before. Mondays. And then every other Wednesday is Bike Club. See, I'm just stealing some of Susie's plugs at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you do me a favor, really, so I don't have to talk as much and feel as bad.
Well, in that case, I'm not going to do it again.
Oh.
I mean, I guess I could do a little plug?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I feel really bad though, because I also play on a Monday and that clashes directly with you, so it's really mean. Okay, so I play Vampire the Masquerade on Mondays on the Blood on the Thames Twitch channel. So if you can watch two things at once, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I also I play on Fridays on the Scraticus channel where I'm playing Ryutama, which I've only just kind of been introduced to, and it's the most adorable game system, so that's fun.
Ryutama is so good. I played a one-shot in it, and it was so pure.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be, but my character's already gone and murdered like 3 people.
Oh. Okay.
I feel a bit bad.
That's fine.
I reckon it's because we're channeling the Princess Mononoke vibes of Studio Ghibli.
I mean, not all anime is sweetness and light. Some of it's dark. Yeah. Anybody else before I do my deluge of?
Nope, I don't do anything.
That's not true.
Nothing that anybody can watch. Wait, hold on. Back that up. No.
And we'll just keep that.
I do homework and take care of children. That's what I do.
Well, and you're also an integral part of this group. Like,
yes,
come on,
but they're already here.
Oh,
come watch me here and now.
Yes. Come watch her here and now. Open your eyes and ears.
Yes.
Jason, just do your plug for the love of God.
Yes, for myself. I have a couple of exciting things going on just throughout the week. In addition to this lovely bi-weekly campaign, I have on Monday a slot with Encounter Roleplay and their Warhammer 40k game, Inquisitor. It's a lovely time to be had by all. I play a mad priest who's currently trying to incite a rebellion so that he might be able to burn away some heretics. It's really fun. You should totally watch. Another thing that's happening this coming Thursday, which is quite exciting for me, I will be over with Pro Restarter on his Twitch channel, DMing the first session of a Blue Rose campaign, which has yet to have a name. So come and join us as we adventure through the world of Aldis, I think is the name, and find some lovely romantic fantasy within. So go with your deluge.
Okay, so Mondays, 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. EST is Curry on an Adventurer's Tale, which is the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition homebrew adventure DM'd by Stuart Perry, which is at Stuart Perry on Twitter. And that stars me, Jamie, Lydia, Briar Sovereign, who is Weregazelle on Twitter, and Young Jinx, which is Stevie, the funniest of our group. as we decided yesterday. That is a Dungeons & Dragons homebrew adventure, which is a lot of fun. Wednesdays, every other Wednesday, is Bike Club, which is Curse of Strahd, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition adventure, in which I DM. Jamie, Stu, Lydia, Marissa are my players, and they are currently in the crypts of Castle Ravenloft, going through every single one of them, and we shall see the resolution of that tomorrow at 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. EST. On Thursdays, I DM the viewer game on Encounter Roleplay, which is at twitch.tv/Encounter Roleplay. That is at 10 p.m. GMT, which is 5 p.m. EST. That game is Brooklyn Nine-Nine meets Shrek, and it's a lot of fun and chaos and madness. On Fridays, in the same time slot, in the same place, is Acton Cthulhu's Shadows of Atlantis, which is a 2d20 version of Acton Cthulhu, in which I play Elsie Braithwaite, who is a grease monkey from Leeds, and she's out to go kick some Nazis in the tentacles with her dog Sherman the Iron Corgi Tetley. And on Sundays, starting this very Sunday, on the 27th of January, is The Lost Girls, which is on twitch.tv/webdm, and that is a Cypher System campaign based around vampires in the 80s, and I am so excited to get started on that, and that is at 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. EST. That's it. If you missed any of that and you want to find out where I'll be at any given time, please follow me on Twitter. My pinned tweet is my schedule. It has all the places, it has all the times, and it has all the channels on there and the systems. That's it.
Fantastic. You got to take a little breather after that one. Yeah. All right. So I suppose we should go in summation before we burn too much candlelight. When last we left this lovely little collection of scallywags, Isabel de Leoncourt, Phelanus, and Talon found themselves taking on a contract on behalf of a enigmatic and jovial businessman by the name of Galen, Talon's current employer through the winter months. As they rode from Novigrad towards the woods south between Erston and that great free city, they heard a blood-curdling cry. The exact origins of which will become apparent soon enough. However, there is a bit of housekeeping that needs to be done. As you can see, there's a fourth amongst this party. Now, I need to make sure that I get the pronunciation correct on this one. So, Rachel?
Indeed.
If you could go ahead and tell me just the name of who you will be playing.
I will be playing Órlaith of Sintra.
Órlaith of Sintra. Ah, yes. Before this blood-curdling cry lets out, before even the contract was sent and put on Galen's desk, within that small town of Erston, there was a cart, a donkey loyally stationed beside it, a beast of burden, and one of the only companions that you've had that you can at least tolerate the company of. Ah, the north in winter. Such a lovely, lovely cesspit of starvation, madness, and despair. The hardships of the road still pester you, and though your stock is full, there are concerns that dance through your head. Of course, being a merchant in the middle of Temeria, in the middle of Velen, of all places, at this point in time, not exactly lucrative. But the free city is only a day away. You can make it there, barring complications, at least. So you rest your head, and let sleep take you. As a start, I'd like you to go ahead and roll. I think this is called awareness in the system.
All right.
Roll an awareness check. So that's 1d10 plus the relevant statistic and whatever level you have in the skill.
Okay.
Yes, so it'll be intelligence.
Wow, that's a good first roll. That would be a 22 all told.
All told. All righty. Let's see. Which would I like you to hear? Oh, this is a good one. Your eyes snap awake. The gentle breeze of the sea washes across your face. It is full and heavy. You hear the crash of waves distantly, so distantly away. You're in your cart. Things seem fine at the minute, but as you look to the sky above, a storm brews. But you are not alone. She rests her head on your shoulder as you hold the reins. Pray to whatever gods there are that you are granted safe passage. But as you look, the form is shrouded as though wrapped in shadow and smog. The weight is there. And as you listen closely, you hear the heartbeat. It clings to your mind for a moment. Just then, a low roll of thunder blasts in the distance as you feel the first somewhat soft drops of rain pitter-patter against the canvas of your cart. Is there anything you wish to do?
I think I simply look out at the open road for now. Part of me doesn't really want to look to that side of me where I feel the weight and finds it easier just to look at the horizon than for now.
And it would be easier were it not but rainy darkness that lies ahead. A moment passes, your vision shifts. The weight grows ever heavier. And it clings to you, greedily grabs at your arm and your and your shoulders. As a deluge sweeps through. Though you are in the forest, the crack of lightning and the roar of thunder does not relent. And as you look to the road ahead, I'd like you to go ahead and make, I think this would be a riding check.
Okay.
So this will be reflex and riding.
Yes, it will. Cool. 17.
17. To the side, you narrowly avoid whatever watery hell has formed within the pit of this forest floor. In doing so, your beast of burden detaches from the cart for a moment. You lose control of the reins. The wheels skid within the mud, burying themselves deep, before finally crashing. You are weightless for a moment. But soon, that moment passes. and gives way to a terrible skid. The weight buries itself on top of you. Your head crashing into the forest floor below. It is both soft and full of full of danger. As you feel rocks bury themselves in your face, as you feel the shrapnel of the forest cling to your form. With one bleary eye, you cast it up and see that same shadow, though its form is renewed. Instead of her heated pleas and murmurs, you hear their laughter as she is dragged away. Before long, you see the mask, a bitter reminder of failure, weakness, cowardice, of what you cannot quite recall. But even as your vision darkens and settles upon this needled point, there is hatred that boils in your stomach, and a porcelain smile that greets you. It fades into darkness after a time, and there are no more dreams tonight. You awaken, still in Erston, somewhat with a shock, and you hear somebody kicking at your wheels. None too accommodating, I suppose, these northern folk. What do you wish to do?
Well, I start by sitting up. Excuse me, can I help you?
You hear a haggard voice clear its throat. Numbing herbs if you got some.
Excuse me?
You deaf? You hear this gruff
Are
voice.
you paying?
If you're opening the doors, yeah.
Then I will open the doors carefully with
Pulling
a crossbow in one hand.
Do you reveal it, or do you...
No, it's behind the door.
Sure. Opening the door to your humble abode, you see a rather, shall we say, rough-looking figure. Rough, especially given the bandage that clings to his right cheek. Below it, you see some bits of blood and, other bodily fluids that may not seem all that entirely healthy. However, he's managing. Roughly weathered clothes, hair that is decently kept, at least somewhat, and a sword that hangs by his side. The colors of red and white adorn his person, though strange. There we go. Though, as you sort of examine him, he seems more desperate than anything to get these numbing herbs.
All right, hold on. Bring out some coin and I'll go find something for you.
He nods and sort of reaches into his pocket, his hand kind of pawing at the bandage before he shakes it off and counts out a few crowns.
I hand over the goods. So what happened to you then?
Gives you 5 crowns. Looks to the numbing herbs. Lots of things. Be ever so grateful if you got a mortar and pestle as well.
Aye, I got that. Go and rummage around again.
Don't trust a stranger coming into your caravan, huh?
And well, would you?
Suppose not.
Here you go.
He reaches out and begins to shove the herbs into the mortar and pestle. Pulls out what seems to be, well, go ahead and make another awareness check.
Okey-doke. Let's roll properly first, shall we?
If you've got physical dice, that can also work. No worries.
A 19.
A 19, okay. Even from the stench of the bottle, you can tell this is some sort of strong alcohol that as it is poured out, there's sort of a reddish tint to it. You figure this is some sort of like alcohest. Though given the pungent smell of it, you assume this is home brewed. It's not exactly what you would recommend for medicinal purposes, but as this stranger pounds the alcohol with the numbing herbs, you kind of figure he's making it up as he goes along. He's sort of deflates a little bit and rubs at his forehead. You see beads of sweat, even in this cold, kind of form. So, where's a merchant like you headed?
Well, I'm headed up to, is it Novigrad? Am I saying that right?
Novigrad, yeah.
How about you? If I may be so bold, where is it you've come from? Looking like that. That doesn't look like it was, well, looks fairly recent. You're not bringing the law down on me, are you?
He looks at you, blank face. You're getting nothing from him, and indeed he doesn't answer. He just sort of pulls out a few bandages that he has and smears this kind of alcohol and numbing herb mixture upon it. If you've not a strong stomach, I'd advise you to turn away.
I'll compromise and just look to the side rather than turning my back on him.
There's a wet sound as the bandages peel back from the wound. He throws what was left to the ground and sort of stretches out his jaw. Bits of the scabbing that has taken place kind of stretch and allow like a little bit of whatever to seep through. However, very quickly he applies some sort of simple adhesive you divine and slaps it on there, massaging the numbing herbs and the alcohol into the wound. For a moment, he winces, breathes heavily, and then sort of settles. You're asking if I'm a brigand. The answer's no.
Well, that's good. Good to hear.
If you want to know where I'm from, Kedwen is the answer. He coughs a little bit and breathes slowly. If you want to know where I'm going, I wonder if perhaps I might have enough coin. And he holds out the little purse that he has. It's supremely light. Travel with you.
I think that could be an acceptable arrangement. You seem to know your way around simple herbalism tools. Now, is that perhaps a trait of yours?
The thoughts. He sort of spits to the side, a little bit of like blood mixed in, and he sort of again stills himself. Of sorts. If you're looking to make a profit, fine. I can offer my services in that regard.
Only if they're needed, of course. The roads can be particularly dangerous, but yes, you can accompany me. There is ample space, of course. I will know if anything at all is misplaced, but you don't look in condition to go robbing some traveling merchant today.
You don't know me, he sort of says as he hands off the entire coin purse to you.
All right, well, welcome aboard, I suppose.
Yeah.
But if you're going to spit again, do it in a bowl and not on my wagon.
Make a persuasion check.
Hang on, let me just look up.
This will be empathy persuasion.
Lovely. Let me just find the relevant do house. Yes. Okay. Cool. $21. Rolling so well, this is not going to last.
We'll see. You sort of look to him and he locks eyes with you. There's a deep, sort of brownish color that clings and buries itself into your sight. However, he acquiesces, nods, and
I supply him with a bowl.
Yeah, takes it gratefully and finds a place to sort of sit, probably on top of a barrel within your cart.
Well, make yourself comfy, I suppose. I'll be moving out shortly.
Fine by me. Fine by me. As you see him sort of sink into the barrel, the lid sort of pressed against him, you get the sense this is the first time he's sat comfortably in a while. The morning passes without incident. The stranger does not talk much, simply keeps to himself, spits in the bowl, and throws it out the back whenever he can. The townsfolk don't seem very interested in business, more concerned with their own sort of frets and worries. But as you pack up, as you leave, going north into the forests which surround this place, cacophonous tragedy is on the verge. Switching back to the present. Oh, Talon.
Yes.
Yes, good to see you. How you doing?
All right. How are you?
Ah,
Just go peachy. Like everyone's just having a nice party. Maybe someone spilled some beer. That was the blood curdling scream.
Probably.
Cool.
As you make your way into the forest with your companions, Isabel, Phelanus, hi, you're here too.
Hi.
I'm also here, yes.
Yes.
Again, blood-curdling scream. And through the forest, you can see a few bits of torchlight. And after this scream, you hear a light scuffle, which seems to be under threat of escalation.
Isabel will pull up on her horse, gesture toward in the direction of the blood-curdling stream. There you go, Master Witcher. Adventure awaits.
You just kind of get a blank stare as though, yeah, that's why I'm here. Not really getting the sarcasm.
Yeah.
It's either not getting the sarcasm or intentionally pretending not to. You're not sure which.
Make an insight check. Or excuse me, a human perception check.
Yeah, I'd like to start getting closer to the light scuffle that may escalate and just get a better lay of the land and sort of get an understanding of what's actually going on before intervening.
Kicking into your horse's ribs, I'll say this probably won't require a roll, but you continue forward, trotting along as best you can. As you get a little bit closer, you start to hear the voices become a little bit more distinct. One of them is slightly more high-pitched than the other, as if his voice is sort of caught in his throat. The other is swarthy and kind of slurring for whatever reason you can't quite tell. But make an awareness check.
I almost picked up a D20 out of habit. Oh, okay, that's going to be a 25 because that was a 10 on the dice.
Roll another one because that's technically a critical success.
Oh, okay. I can critically success hearing things. Ooh, that was an 8 on the dice, so that'd be 18 plus 5.
You heard the shit out of that.
Yeah.
We'll say that you are completely aware of what each party is saying.
I'm going to keep that dice out because it's lucky.
You hear the smaller voice kind of intone at this point. You were bound to rip her arm off! And you hear the swarthier gentleman. You bloody idiot. Do you not know how to reset a shoulder that's out of joint? If only I had some chloroform, then at least she could be knocked out during the whole thing. That's not the problem here. We spent ages trying to stitch back together what we could salvage from her arm. Not my concern. And not my problem. Besides, stitchwork was shit anyway. Excuse me? This sort of rabble kind of back and forth continues as you approach.
Yeah, I'll make myself known at this point because it seems like they've got their hands full. So even if I do just make myself known, they'll be caught unawares.
Sure. As you come across this very strange sight, you notice there are 2 carts. One with a donkey tied to its... Oh gosh, what's that name? One with a donkey tied to its wheel, and another with sort of a chestnut horse kind of standing nearby in a small clearing. The donkey is being attended by a new face. And in fact, there are a couple of new faces here. The only one that you note with certainty is peering into the cart with the chestnut horse tied to it. You notice one of the employees from Gallen's company, a woman by the name of Idale. If you recall, she was one that was sent with Loudest Bloomfoot, who was the gnome tailor who was attached to this whole thing. There is another gnome who stands before a human with kind of a somewhat nasty patchwork of like herbs and ointment smeared on his face. You get the sense that there was, or actually, make a deduction check.
Ooh, deduction. Oh yes. No, that's a decent one as well. That's gonna be 16.
16. Okay. It takes you a minute, but especially with your marvelous awareness, looking past the entryway to that cart, you notice there is what seems to be like cloth of some sort that was torn off and like thrown to the ground out of what you can't imagine, but the state of Adele is kind of dazed and clutching at her arm, which is heavily bandaged. You get the sense that, given what you know, the taller gentleman, whoever they are, put her shoulder back into its socket without anesthetic and without regard to the injuries that kind of cling to her. You can see even underneath the bandaging, there are a few stitches that kind of are haphazardly strewn about. And the gnome is kind of berating him for doing such a thoughtless thing.
So in total, other than Adele, how many people, just to get a definite number? So there's a gnome and another person for definite. Was there a third?
A gnome, the man, Adele, and a third, which, Orla, if you could go ahead and describe your character.
I can indeed. Orla is kind of an average height. There's nothing probably noteworthy about how tall she is. She's quite willowy, not the most kind of sturdy looking person. Very long, dark, almost black hair that's bound into these two braids, almost kind of a Norse style that go down either side. And she's dressed in fairly nice, quite traditional clothing, fairly nice embroidery, but you can see it's kind of heavily marked by travel. And at the moment, I think she's probably tending to her donkey, just trying to like keep it calm and kind of in peripheral paying attention to the exchange, but not really that bothered by it, just trying to make sure the animal's calm and that everything's in order on her cart.
Sure. Just as a point of order, does the donkey have a name, or is it just sort of...
Oh, yeah. The donkey is called Una.
Una. Alrighty. So, Talon, you sort of come upon this scene, two strange faces, and at least a total of 4 that you can actively see. Although, stilling yourself and allowing your hearing to kind of reach out into the scene, you notice there are a couple of voices coming from inside the cart that are kind of whispering to each other. But even beyond that, just as the faintest sound, you hear what sounds to be like rocks rubbing against each other, but rhythmically, as if they're clacking or clicking.
And that's coming from inside the cart?
No, it's coming from far beyond the cart. It's coming from within the forest.
Is there a way that I could sort of circle round more in that direction without being spotted by this camp? Just to get a better understanding of where that might be coming from, because that's unusual. This scene doesn't seem to be moving for a while, but that's unusual.
Excuse me. There is, I would probably have you roll at this point a stealth check.
Would it?
Unless you're not worried about...
No, would I think that it'd be easier to not be noticed if I dismounted the horse?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, in that case, I'll dismount the horse and put the reins around a branch sort of out of the way. Remember where I left it.
Sure.
And then I'll make my way around.
All right. Making your way around, are you trying to avoid attention to yourself, or are you just sort of marching around?
For now, yeah, I'll try to be sneaky.
So go ahead and roll stealth. Isabel and Phalanus, as you see Talon kind of dismount his horse, is there anything y'all wish to do?
I'm going to just start like gently easing up, just kind of see like something's going on, but stay far enough back. I'm an archer. I don't want to get too close.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Well, as you sort of inch forward, you see this kind of escalate as the larger man kind of grabs the shirt collar of this gnome and like starts yelling in his face.
Okay, no, Isabel is immediately off the horse. What is happening here?
But both of them sort of freeze and look to you. Getting a good look at both of them, the gnome is full-faced, very ruddy sort of skin. Even in winter, it seems as though he's been sun-soaked or sunburnt. There's sort of a coif of hair that kind of cascades down to his shoulders, and a feverish expression as he goes from sudden fear towards this yelling man to confusion as he sees this completely unfamiliar character upon the scene. Additionally, you see the sort of poorly cut, tousled hair of this larger man kind of looking to you with caution more than anything, but he doesn't seem surprised. You notice... Well, go ahead and make an awareness check.
Ooh, let's do it. Card sheet, need that. Awareness. Where is that one under again? Oh, it's intelligence.
Intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good. That is a 17.
All right. So you notice ever so slightly. Actually, wait a minute. This would probably be an opposed roll, wouldn't it? Given what he's trying to do.
Is he trying to be a sneaky boy?
I mean, he might be. Just depends on how this roll goes. What'd you roll again?
17.
Oof, not enough. You do see as he sort of steps back, he's hiding the hilt of his blade behind his leg and sort of standing up straight to kind of distract you. However, in the scene, you also notice an injured woman within the cart and this other woman tending to her donkey.
I really rather wouldn't suggest that you reach for that sword, sir.
Clever.
Mm-hmm.
I hear her say this, and I've got I just got my bow off my back, just ready.
By the way, Isabel is continually slowly walking forward. That she's nothing raised, but she's radiating very calm and composed sort of aura. Like, I am in control here. She's walking forward.
Órlaith, you notice this strange but very beauteous figure sort of arrive and glide towards the camp almost.
No.
Talon, what did you roll for stealth?
That's a good response.
Sorry, my internet connection's going real bad.
No.
Talon, what did you roll for stealth?
Okay, that went real weird for about half a minute. Like, everyone's conversations played at the same time.
Oh God.
But I got an 18.
Okay, that's good. So Órlaith, go ahead.
No, I don't think there's any need for all of this. And you, please put that man down. There is definitely no need to get into any sort of confrontation about a simple dislocated shoulder.
You see as... I'll say that you've learned his name at this point. Barathis kind of still has a hand on the collar of this gnome, but as you sort of intone this, he kind of drops him.
Yeah.
The gnome kind of scurries back and breathes a little bit, dusting himself off.
It would seem a bit counterproductive if you go and injure someone whilst trying to heal the rest of us now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it'll make me feel better.
Trust me, I don't think it would. Not in the long term.
Oh, but in the short term, and he shoots a pointed look to the gnome, who's kind of like seized up with fear at this point.
Oh no! Oh no!
Now, what exactly is all this hubbub about? You see, I was just merely traveling down the road and I hear this scream. And I come to find this scene in front of me. What is this?
I mean, I'd say your story is very similar to ours, except you're just maybe a chapter behind. Well, at least to mine, I'm not quite a newcomer to this scene, but there was a bit of an altercation further up the road. I wasn't wholly involved with it, but as you can see, we're still dealing with the aftermath.
You hear the gnome kind of chuckle out of nervousness as you sort of intone that. Yes, that's a brilliant way to put it. Sorry, but I don't know if I trust perfect strangers in more than one way. I should have somebody here sent soon, very soon. Should be here any minute.
Do you work for Galen by any chance?
How do you know that name? I mean, yes.
Ah, excellent. We've been sent here to retrieve you.
But I did not. He sort of looks around. I asked for the Witcher. I didn't.
Oh, he's probably around here somewhere.
Talon. As you are stealthing your way upon the outskirts of this small encampment, you do see as the cart, the canvas of the cart yields a little bit of a better vantage point. Two other figures, one female, one male, kind of discussing with each other. The one inside, Idale, kind of is laid back in a somewhat reclined position, but at least resting somewhat peacefully given the circumstances.
No more in the source of the strange sound.
Go ahead and roll another awareness check.
Awareness, that's going to be 16.
You still hear the rhythmic tapping. It sort of fades after a while, but before you kind of turn your attentions away from it, you do hear a distinct kind of clicking noise.
Can I discern a better direction from where I am now?
Yes, it's further south of your position.
Oh, okay.
Further into the forest.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'm just going to keep sort of note on that, but then I'll enter this scene from the opposite side. I'll just kind of walk up now.
Okay. And as you sort of walk into the encampment, Phalanus, would you like to do anything at this point?
Yeah, I'll put my bow away and hop off Twinkle and start walking forward to you. Don't laugh at my ass.
Sorry, every time.
Sure. Hopping off Twinkle and sort of joining the rest of the group. As Talon, you approach, you see the gnome kind of clasp his hands together and sigh. Oh, thank Melissa. He runs up to you. It's Talon, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and he reaches out his hand to you.
I'm just going to look at him for like that awkward few seconds, and then I'll take the hand.
He clasps it and shakes it vigorously. Oh, thank you so much. I was for certain there were probably other contracts that would have taken your attention. This has been such a disaster. His voice kind of cracks as he frits and frets about.
What's happened, and why haven't you got back yet?
He kind of chuckles a little bit. That's
Is it to do with what's in the forest?
well, he sort of clears his throat and sighs. Fine. Guess the truth will do us more good than harm, right?
Yes, it will.
You see him visibly gulp.
Just fucking tell him. Oh my goodness.
Right. It was like this. And as he intones the story, Orla, we go back to some time before. And indeed, as the morning sun streams into the forest, excuse me, there's a little bit of, well, this will be an awareness check again.
Okie dokie. $13.
You hear sort of a nebulous kind of kerfuffle happening down the road, and Barathis kind of seems to hear it as well as he pokes his head out from the cart and cranes his neck to you, trying to ignore the pain of his injury. Can't tell if that's trouble or something else.
Well, I'm not about to send you to get out and check. I suggest we just take it slow and see what's ahead.
Bye. And by the way, and he turns to you, his eyes meeting yours once again, but in a softer manner. Forgot to say thank you.
Your thanks is gratefully received. I mean, you've already paid me rather well.
You got 12 crowns rather well.
Well, it's better than I got in that shitty little town before, so it wasn't a total write-off.
Sighs.
Bad business is better than no business.
Ain't that right? By the way, Barathis.
Pleasure. Orla.
Well, that's her name. He chuckles to himself and goes back into the cart. As you look ahead, there is a bit of a problem. You notice there are a number of figures standing around what seem to be 3 carts, one of which is sort of askew in terms of its orientation relative to the ground. As you sort of peer ahead, you can't tell what's happened, but there are obviously some disgruntled people facing some sort of tragedy or woe.
I would probably not want to take the donkey too close. Just close enough so I can hear it a little bit clearer.
Sure. Riding ahead, the others sort of take notice of your presence, and one holds up his hand and motions for the rest to sort of calm down and keep quiet. You see that the one who seems to be in lead is a gnome. He's standing next to the one that is currently telling this tale. But he is of a different disposition. He's completely bald, very much more softly featured. Skin is not as sun-touched, very smooth, and he's very finely dressed. Rich greens sort of adorn his person, mixing in with the very tanned leathers that kind of make up his leather jerkin. He takes a few steps and waves to you.
Are you right over there?
As fine as we can be, I suppose. He clears his throat and steps forward. Getting a good look at him, he's kind of a genteel sort and looks out to you. I'd be careful down the roads. Sinkholes of some sort.
Is that usual around here?
Wish I could say I knew.
I see. I take it that you're stuck then.
Well, at least one of us is stuck. And he sort of turns back to, the driver of this cart. A very kind of portly man who's kind of sitting atop it, shouting directions to a couple of what seem to be guards, kind of trying to hoist the wheel out from this dreaded collapse that it has fallen into.
I see. Well, you seem to have plenty of hands to try and hoist you out. I'm not sure what use I would be in this situation, so... Is there space for me to kind of go around, or are they completely blocking the road?
They're not blocking the road, but you can certainly tell it would be a tight squeeze.
Is there any way I can help you move this cart any quicker? I mean, for all our sakes.
If you don't mind lending your ass to us, I mean, we can try and pull it out that way.
I mean, I wouldn't usually, but in the interests of time, I suppose it is a wise decision for now. All right, hold on. I'll unhitch the ass.
Thank you. Oh, he holds out his hand to you. Loudest Bloomfoot.
Nice to meet you. It's not often one sees a truly friendly face on the road.
Don't I know that?
Hold on, I'll be right with you. And I will kind of dismount and start unhitching the donkey.
All right. As you do that, you sort of... excuse me. You, in the interest of time, we'll say that you sort of tie the donkey with the horses at the front of the cart. Loudest kind of swats at the feet of the portly gentleman sitting on the cart, sitting on it, and saying, "Lionel, get your fat ass off of there!" All right. Clambers up as the portly man clambers down. All right. So, going to crack this. And he sort of motions to a rein that is by his, or a whip that is by his side. And when I do, lift that wheel as high as you can, okay? Seeing you're going to need some help with that. Barathas cracks his neck and comes onto the scene. Loudest looks to him. Oh, all help's appreciated. All right. 3, 2. A whip crack emanates, and the horses and donkey go wild. With one hand, Loudest is able to sort of finagle enough of, well, more like one arm, finagle the reins onto it. The horses move forward as best they can. Barathas strains with the 2 guards, and pretty soon the wheel turns over and the cart is free. There's a small cheer that erupts, and you see one of the members of the party, a woman, kind of clap and sigh in relief. All right, that's our way to Erston clear now. Gather everything, settle the horses, and let's leave these lovely people alone, huh?
I would go back up to Una, take her back to my cart, kind of give her a nice stroke. There's a good girl. Come on, let's go.
So that was fun. Barathas kind of...
Yes, a little bit of a waste of time, but there you go.
As you say that... I need you to roll an awareness check.
Hey. 19.
Oh no. So you sense this perfectly. The ground begins to shake beneath your feet. Small pebbles and rocks kind of clatter and chitter. There's uncertainty that reigns before, unfortunately, a sinkhole once again opens underneath one of the horses this time, the one that had just pulled out the cart. It shrieks and screams and is naught but blood and viscera as you see a terrible monster pierce the earth and claw at this creature. Chaos ensues and uncertainty reigns as you see and hear nothing but a cacophony. Barathis kind of looks back and taps you on the shoulder. Come on! Running to the cart with deft speed, and as you do, unfortunately, you feel the rumblings once more. I'd like you to go ahead and make a... this will probably be a dodge?
Right.
Yes, dodge. This will be under reflex, so...
Gotcha. 21.
Okay. I'll say that's enough. Before too long, you see another sinkhole attempt to open up, and as it does... Excuse me. A little bit ahead of Una, there is another insectoid creature that clambers to the surface and shrieks terribly. It goes to one of the carts and begins tearing at it. And though they are trying their best to pry the previous one off, the two guards that were there, as well as another lad, are kind of hapless in trying to save the goods from the other one. Loudest is barking orders. The gnome that is kind of second in command is trying to figure out what's going on before Idale kind of grabs him by his hand and hoists him away. Once more, another sinkhole opens. At this point, I'd like you to know, or I'd like to know what you are going to do.
Órlaith is sprinting to her own cart, just prepping it, mounting up as quick as she can. She just wants to get out of there. Like, these other people are inconsequential to preserving her cart, her donkey, and herself.
Barathis is sort of the same mind and throws you the reins as you sort of come up. This will probably be a riding check as well, just to see if you can keep control of Una and the cart as you go along.
Okay. $11.
Oh boy. Una sort of bucks in place a little bit as this third sinkhole opens up and clasps at the outstretched arm of Idale, raking strips of flesh and skin off of her arm. She howls in pain and kind of falls back. Loudest goes to her and kind of pushes her out of the way as you see, larger than the other two that have sprung from the ground, this giant crab, scorpion, insect abomination crawl to the surface and howl almost.
Shit. It's desperately trying to get the donkey in control, trying to get around this thing, but kind of diving for the crossbow at the same time.
Sure. As you sort of settle yourself, you pull upon the reins, crack them, and Una finally sort of listens, going around that narrow space and just trying to haul the cart as quickly as she can. This catches the attention of one of the workers who has just made quick work of one of the guards, stabbing its claw into his gullet and then outstretching it, splattering all manner of blood and viscera upon the scene. It looks to you and kind of shakes itself free of this nuisance and darts toward the cart. I'd like you to tell me what you're going to do.
Well, she's already trying to move as quick as she can, so I think she just looses a crossbow bolt just as she's going.
Okay. Barathas kind of outholds his hand. The reins! The reins!
Fucking take them then!
He cracks them once more. Yuna sort of hastens her step. I'd like you to go ahead and try and loose a bolt upon this terrible creature.
All right, so this is Dex crossbow?
Yes.
All right. It's my Dex. Okay. Oh, great. 15.
All right, 15. So I'm going to have to roll... The way that combat works is a little bit... So that's a 15, you said?
Yep.
All right. 4 plus... That is not enough. Okay. So, go ahead and roll for damage.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
A total of 17 damage.
17 damage. Alrighty. So, having that... Oh, yeah. So, the bolt itself actually sinks into the mouth of this creature, which is sort of like a mass of tendrils and horror. And it kind of lurks back and begins to cough up the bolt itself, halting its forward momentum, most importantly. You hear the crack of another pair of reins as you notice the gnome and Idale upon one cart trying frantically to run away. They are successful, but only by a hair's breadth, as the larger of all of these strikes its tail out towards the horse. It misses by a mile, but as the cart sort of lumbers and turns around, there are screams and disaster behind you. Do you take a look back?
Nope.
You hear cacophonous crashes as you figure more sinkholes open. As all of this occurs, we come back to the torchlit grounds of what's left of the caravan. And it's quite a poor sight in comparison. The gnome, who, just for simplicity's sake, his name is Dolphin Lowenrich. So I'll put that in the chat for anybody interested. Sort of takes the time describing this whole series of events to you, and Talon, you've got monsters on your hands, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. From what's been described, can I try and figure out what these creatures are?
That's Witcher knowledge, Witcher training check.
Yeah, because we swap out, was it monster law for the Witcher thing, don't we?
Yep. Isabel Phalanus, is there anything you'd like to ask or add as all this goes on?
That's the thing. How does Witcher training work?
What was that face?
I just imagine
how Witcher training works.
I just imagine that y'all are like, what did we sign up for?
Pretty much, yeah. Just like,
At least
this
on
is
Phalanus'
insane.
end.
Yeah, just like,
Tell me about it.
like just this attitude of just like quietly thinking to myself, what a pain this is.
Okay, so since it's not monster law, how does Witcher training work instead?
Witcher training is a skill. You roll for that skill and then tell me what you roll. Or it's technically Witcher knowledge.
Right. Well, I rolled a 9 on the dice.
So that's it's a good start.
Yeah, it just says Witcher training on here. I don't have a number to correspond with it. That's the issue.
Oh, hang on. Let me get this right here. Oh, you. So, your Witcher training value was part of that 44-point skills set. So, if you want, you can just dump in like a couple of points from other of your core skills to make up to it, because you have to have at least a minimum of 1.
Right. Okay.
Or, if you want to level up, we can say, for simplicity's sake, that you have 1 to 2 is 3, 1 to 3 is 3 plus 2, so 5 plus 6. We'll say that you have 3 ranks in it.
Okay, cool. That works nicely. Okay, so that's that'll be a 12 with the dice. Which stat does it refer to?
This will be intelligence.
Okay, so that would be 22.
Okay, awesome. Glad that we
figured it out.
Sorted out.
Yeah, I'm from the nerd school.
Nerd.
Back to your nerd school.
The rest of you can also roll monster lore or education if you want to.
Sure, why not?
Why would I have need of monster lore?
We'll see what happens here.
Let's see.
Yeah, and
Oh crap!
That's either really good or really bad.
It's 19.
13.
Mine's a 16.
13.
Okay, so
No, wait.
did anybody roll lower than a 12?
22.
That's
Well,
not
you're a
lower
nerd
than
too.
12.
Don't pretend you're not a nerd.
You got the same number as me. We're both nerds.
Fair enough.
I'm not.
So, nobody rolled lower than a 12.
No.
So we all know what commoners say about the Endriga. Folks say they're just like any other bug. Just an infestation you have to get rid of to keep from spreading. Peasant remedies say you have to powder up some peppers or cinnamon sticks, sprinkle the dust outside your house, pour vinegar in any water nearby. When you're going through the woods, you have to rub half a lemon all over yourself. Gotta soak any meat you hunt out on in the woods with vinegar so you kill any eggs that the Endriga have laid in them. The common folk think that Endriga are just insects, infestations, and like termites or any of the other myriad horrors that this continent inhabits. Talon, typically these sorts of preconceptions are a little bit basic. The Endriga are technically insects, in the same way that a lion is a cat. When you go out into swamplands and floodplains, you run the risk of running into large groups of Endriga. When fighting them, you should probably keep in mind that all Endriga can pounce 4 meters from a standing start. A chasm or a wall may not save you. Endriga of all forms are immune to poisons, thanks to their toxic nature, and can resist slashing weapons, thanks to their hard outer shells. Before hunting Endriga, you should probably stock up on anything good against poison, such as golden oriole. Nearing a nest, you'll probably run across the workers, the most common form of Endriga. Keep moving and avoid getting boxed in, for their claws are mildly poisonous. Not too bad fighting 1-on-1, but if you're surrounded by 5 or 6, well, you might have a little bit of a problem on your hands. Survive 8 to 9 and you'll start seeing warriors. Warrior Endriga are the meaner, more dangerous cousins of the simple workers. They're incredibly aggressive and will constantly attack with their poisoned tail, leaping after a target when it gets out of range. Once you're on top of the nest, you will encounter drones. Drones exist to fight and fertilize their queen. They are the most aggressive and attack on sight with no provocation. Drones will start by launching a barrage of poisonous quills from their abdomen before pouncing with their pincers. Since only the strongest drone can fertilize the queen, drones are always looking for a fight. Past all of these, you'll have to find the queen and her eggs. If you make it to that point, you'll have to avoid not only the queen, but also all other Indriga in the area. When threatened, the queen will summon her entire hive to her aid. How do you kill the queen, you ask? As she is burrowed underground, simply drop a potent explosive down whatever opening is available to you. And be sure you lit the fuse beforehand. Oh, and stand back. So yeah, you've got an Indriga infestation on your hands.
Great. I'll go up to the gnome was right in front of me.
Yes.
Did they have tails, and did they try to sting you with them?
I can't remember. The taller one, Barathas, at this point pipes up. Aye. Two of them had claws.
Okay. So if I don't see a tail, it's safe to assume it's the lowest level of the lot.
Unless it has quills on its abdomen. So if it rears back and
okay. So
bleh, then... And it specifically makes that noise. It leans back and goes bleh. Okay.
Transylvania and Dragas, you see.
It's Transylvanian, yes.
Bleh.
It seems you've probably stumbled upon a nest of Indriga, and that's a very bad thing for all involved. Whereabouts were the attacks?
The gnome tries to talk again, but Barathas kind of shakes his head. It's a few miles from here, south.
Right, well, it probably means there's a nest down that in that direction. Don't go there again for a little while.
Trust me, you do not have to convince me, says Dolphin.
Because it only gets worse the closer you get.
We have to report the losses. You understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Loudest included. He sort of coughs.
Well, what did you expect when you requested me specifically? An escort? Or are you asking a bit more?
A problem solver, at least.
I just want to know which direction we're going in. Are we going back with you in tow? Or are you sending me that way?
And right off these losses, Master Witcher, I understand your mutations have stripped you of emotions, but have you no heart? I can't bloody well estimate what we've lost. If I give just a vague account, Erst will have my head.
So we're going back, is what you're saying?
I can't go back. It has to have someone look over her. And Barathas at this point says, yeah, and I could do that, along with the other two numpties in your damn cat. And he kind of grumbles to himself. You hear the whispering kind of shush for a moment.
Would be a lot easier with a guide.
Make a persuasion check.
This is going to go badly, probably. Where's persuasion?
I think it's
empathy.
Empathy skill.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a 5. But I don't have a minus in this one, so it's a 7.
All right, so that's 7 on the dice. Or is that 7 total? Don't tell me that's
7 total.
Yep. Oh, wow. That's bad.
I'm great at some things. However, the scales must be balanced.
Uh-huh.
Master Witcher, I don't have a full account. I would suggest that we speak with... Excuse me, and he clears his throat. Sestrin has a full account. We can send him along, yeah?
Dolphin, yes? Am I correct?
He nods.
If a guide is needed to lead this fine fellow back to where the incident took place, how much would you be willing to pay someone? To do this task for you, of course.
A moment. He sort of ducks back into the cart with Adele and closes the door.
Especially if some of your goods could be recovered.
No response, leaving the rest of you out there. Brathis kind of kicks the dirt and looks to all of you.
Isabel would turn to Ola and say, enterprising, I like it.
Well, you have to make something out of a bad situation.
You certainly do. And tell me, how did you get mixed up in all of this? Were you a part of the original caravan?
No. These fellows were simply a little slow on the road. I caught up to them, and then that mess ensued. I was lucky enough to get out of it myself unscathed and my wares intact.
As that that statement is then punctuated with an argument that sort of brews as a younger voice sort of intones. I'm not fucking going back there.
I just turn to Talon as I hear that and say, Galen surely does hire some brave and strong fellows.
All sorts are employed.
Go ahead and... Talon, at this point, I would say, for mercy's sake, go ahead and roll a... I'd say a history check, but I don't... Or business. Yeah, business. Right. I forgot there's a business skill.
14.
14. Okay. So, as you sort of know how Galen usually structures a caravan, it's usually 3 carts. You only see 2, and one is of a make that is not a make and design that is not intimately familiar to you, so you figure this is Órlaith, or at least not a part of the original caravan. 3 caravans, at least 2 per cart. However, in dire circumstances, there have been some cases where 2 guards have been assigned and only 2. Then followed by the specialists, whether they be merchants, tailors, tinkerers, soldiers, spies. And
if Gary Oldman pops up now, I'm done.
As this was Laudis's lot, you figure these are clothiers, maybe weavers or seamstresses, and tailors. These are not warriors of any sort. So,
Well, I suppose the groups are dependent on what is the transporting. Usually textiles aren't that high risk.
Mm.
And an infestation can just pop up at any time. It's hard to predict.
You would know.
Do you know when ants are about to show up? Then exactly, it's hard to predict how insects behave.
Isabel sort of gives you a look as if to say, do you think Isabel would ever care about ants or a household? Or, like, gardening or anything?
So we should put down a picnic?
tell me that's in character.
Yes.
I think, given the condition of our companions here, I think we've already done that.
What is it exactly Andraga do? Are they like any other sort of beast? Like a necrophage would hunt for flesh and people, but Andragas, do they just wander the countryside, dig their tunnels? What do they do?
Just for the good of the hive. Make sure the queen is secure, well fed, and the hive grows stronger.
Let's see.
Also, watch out. They can be a little poisonous.
Oh, I won't be getting anywhere near them.
Wonderful.
I'll be standing quite a distance back whilst you get into the melee, and I'll be back in the distance.
Same.
Likewise. Assuming, of course, I am coming along.
Just every layer with just another like ring on the target, really.
Yep, pretty much.
I think perhaps you should come with us, Orla. I've heard
Well,
you.
I'm waiting to find out whether I'm going to be paid or not.
Curious as to why you'd want to volunteer, though.
Well, that's why I'm not volunteering.
Money.
But they all seem very on edge. You seem quite calm, given the circumstances.
Oh, I assure you, I am exceedingly on edge.
Barathas kind of chuckles to himself at that point. You hear a scuffle kind of break out, and the cart rocks back and forth for a brief moment before Dolphin steps out. One of his eyes slightly bruised from what seems to be a little bit of a hit that it received. However, he does clutch a leather-bound journal of some description and sighs before going back to Orla. This is a manifest of our goods. We've already accounted for everything that we can. Woven flax and other sorts of small things. If you've a mind to go, that is to say, if you're mad, on top of ensuring that you are compensated properly, he turns to you, Talon.
Mm-hmm.
Say, agree to amount of 75 crowns.
Does this seem reasonable? Out of kind of DM asking here?
Well, this will be a business roll for you, actually.
Ah, fantastic. Business. It's business time. Lord business.
Business.
Oh, wow. Well, 17.
It's a little low. Not exactly. It's not exactly insulting. It's just this is pretty dangerous work, and
I mean, given that I might not come back with, well, both arms intact, as we've seen, can definitely happen. I really think 100 crowns is a bit more appropriate.
Make a persuasion check. I will do a resist coercion check because that's the thing.
Yeah.
Luckily, this guy is a wet noodle, so just breathe on him.
I breathe with 18 points of persuasion damage.
Yeah, no. He sort of, you see a bead of sweat just from tension and like frustration roll down. 100 it is.
Wonderful. Pleasure doing business with you.
He hands you the ledger.
Oh, I like her.
And washes his hands of this and breathes heavily. You, and he turns to Barathas. We will negotiate later. Yes? Barathas blinks a couple of times. Sure. Whatever you say. He sighs and goes back into the cart to check on Adele. And you actually see him reach for a small knife as he starts undoing the stitches so that he might properly address the wounds.
Wow, if only any of us had made a healer, huh?
Listen, I play what I want. Now what? God.
Yeah. Also, what time of day is it? Like, I've been thinking it's quite late.
Yeah,
It's
it's somewhat late. I'd say, because I think I got it wrong and said it was like a day's ride down to Erston. That's really not. It's like maybe 3 hours if you're taking your time. So,
Okay.
3 to 5 dependent. With a full caravan, I'd probably say it'd be like a day's ride. But with y'all, it was like an hour or so. But given delays and all that, we'll say that it's probably around 5. And what with the recounting of the story, 5:30, 6 o'clock.
So we've still got a fair amount of light for a little while.
However, with it being winter, it is rapidly dwindling.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's a good thing I made a cat potion then.
Yeah.
No, actually, no, Talon, we are not wandering into the woods in the dark. Thank you very much.
Nope.
That doesn't seem very wise.
Nope.
I was going to have a look closer that way because I've been hearing a lot of noise from over there in the woods.
Oh, well, by all
Just to
means.
see how close they are.
Go ahead, help
Have
yourself. But you'll be alone. Good luck.
I'm just gonna go pick up my crossbow again.
Just keep it there, just in case.
You know, for sake of brevity, I'm not trying to antagonize. I'm just trying to figure out how close the sound was to everything else to figure out whether or not we need to move them further away.
All right.
If we hear you scream, we'll know to leave.
First,
Just
even
give a
further-
yell.
For even further sake of brevity, Talon, I'll go ahead and let you roll an investigation roll. Or investigation check.
Where's investigation?
Yeah.
It's intelligence, I think.
There's nothing that says investigation.
Yeah.
What? Oh,
No,
yeah.
sir.
There'd be a deduction.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Can I deduce this?
I know this system so well, you guys. Yep, nope, it's deduction. My bad. Again, I'm a master at this system. I'm so smart.
That's a 17 to deduce.
To deduce.
Jeez.
You dropped a deduce. So, as you look around, especially with your awareness of the sounds themselves, you're able, looking at the surrounding area, to tell that this portion of the road is somewhat thicker than what you would assume to be the softer lands of like further into the woods, which is more like swampy and waterlogged. At least normally. Now it's sort of covered with ice and just general nastiness. However, you don't believe you need to move the carts any further away than they already are, especially given the fact that as you sort of cast your hearing out into the woods, the clacking kind of simmers and slowly descends into silence.
Fair enough. I'll head back to where everybody else is. No need to move everything else.
I'd like you to make a perception check, or awareness check.
19.
19. Got to go ahead and get one of these dice out. Okay, so that's that. Plus There it is. Oh yeah. As you sort of walk back to camp, you hear the beginnings of the wind kind of rustle through the trees and blow a cool chill throughout camp. Seems like it's going to be a cold night tonight.
Apparently I'm a weatherman now as well. Nice.
Apparently. There's not a weather skill, so I had to make it awareness.
Yeah, I'll just head back to everybody else. And
I mean, no, it scans though, because you're in The Witcher 3. Geralt's always like, looks like rain all the time.
This is true.
Oh, yeah.
Geralt's a weatherman. You heard it here first.
okay, so seems like we don't need to move anything. But yeah, you guys might have dressed for the occasion. It's going to be a very cold night.
Excellent. Wonderful.
That's fine. I've slept on the road plenty of times before.
Nothing new.
Isabel's having a quiet meltdown to herself.
A horse brays in your ear.
Kill Bill sirens. So shall we make camp here for the night and then hunt in the morning?
If we review what was lost as well, we'll have a better understanding of what we need to find.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds about right. I might have a few spare furs, blankets. Maybe if you need them. That's about as far as charity goes.
That would be wonderful.
Mm.
I assume someone here could make a fire.
You
Is there a
can.
fire making skill?
I just kind of look at Talon like,
And then you're getting the look back as like, can't everyone?
yeah. I'm like, bro, we can do it, but I'm not about to use my magic powers in front of these scrubs.
I think I would be able to. I don't know what you'd roll for that, but
Wilderness survival.
oh, maybe not then.
Maybe
I'm
not.
just gonna
No.
wait and watch and see what these guys' kind of capabilities are. See how competent they are at camp setting.
So if I see like that it takes too long, I'll probably just do it.
Just go up and cast
or
an ignorant.
try myself.
All right. You hear muffled groans and pained cries as you figure the stitches are being redone.
Eesh.
The night drags on. I'm assuming each of you steal yourselves away somehow, somewhere.
I'm sleeping right next to the fire.
Well, somebody has to make the fire, so
Oh, fine.
Well, I can
will...
roll a 14 in wilderness survival. I don't know if that's enough to get a fire going.
it's
Okay.
a fire. By definition, it's a fire.
Tried.
It's not a big one, but it's a fire.
I might set up my own little camp separate to just adjacent. Just be that guy.
I'm gonna make sure that Yuna is all blanketed up and comfy because you have to keep good maintenance of your beasts of burden if you want to have an efficient
Mhm.
lifestyle.
Yep.
I have Twinkle over with me too.
And then I'll probably make myself cozy inside the wagon. I got lots of blankets in there.
All right.
I've literally got Twinkle down, to lay down on the ground, and then I'm leaned back against with one of the furs or whatever I got from Órlaith. That's where I am.
And Isabel, just as close to the fire as you can be.
Yes, I've borrowed some blankets from Ola and set up a makeshift bedroll, and then I just lay down next to the fire with my big cloak over me,
All right. About an hour after that, you hear the door to the other cart open and Barathis kind of step out, almost kicked out. The door slams behind him and he sort of leans back and spits at the doorway. Shakes his head and sort of limps off of the cart, hands in pockets. He looks to the sorry sight of this like small campfire with a donkey and like an elf just sort of bundled up, neck deep in furs.
Did my best.
With this very, very bitter, like
and she
obviously
looks
out of place
pissed too. Like she
yeah.
has a moody face on.
Mm-hmm.
So the accommodations aren't up to the standards, Your Highness. He sort of coughs and goes back to Orlaith's cart.
Deep breaths. Mutters something about adding extra kindling to the fire, glares at him, and then burrows back underneath the cape.
Luckily, the night passes without incident. And the morning sun soon comes over the forest, washing you all in light, if not warmth. With that, we shall go ahead and take the first break.
Be back in a minute.
Yeah.
Yay!
we're back.
Yay!
Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us through that short break. This will be the much shorter second half of the session, in which we, get down to brass tacks and figure out what the party's gonna do. All right. Morning sun streaks through the leaves, blah, blah, blah. Light, not warmth. Y'all are awake now.
Wow, such immersive, in-depth storytelling.
Does anybody have frozen hair?
This is why you braid it. You
don't.
don't have that problem.
Oh, wait a minute. Did Isabel braid her hair the night before?
Does Jason want a slap?
Does Susie want to roll me a grooming and style?
Oh, I do. Because here's the thing. I'm very, very good at that. Because where I could have put points into useful things,
No.
I didn't. So,
Well, you best roll it.
grooming and style, where are you? I've got +4. Why did I put 4 points into this? Okay. That is a 9 plus 9. So that's 18 plus 4. 23.
Okay, fine. I'll say that you remembered to braid your hair the night before. And you you actually slept long enough away from the far enough away from the fire to avoid any of the heat damage as well. As I imagine Isabel would be one of the first, if not the first, to awaken, you would probably have already sort of applied your glamours and whatnot to sort of instill within your form bountiful allure, we'll say. As you are,
Seduce this Indraga.
yeah, as you are preparing to face these horror monsters, I would like you to roll an awareness check.
Awareness. Okay. Where are you? That is a intelligence skill.
That
That's
it is.
17.
Okay. The air is still a little bit bitterly cold as you sort of breathe out and see your breath actually sort of coalesce into slight clouds. You hear grumblings from the cart within as Barathis seems to be checking on the wounds of his patient before he exits out with a small satchel, very small, very unassuming, but in it he rips open the top and looking over to you, holds up some hard tack.
I will take a piece.
Okay. As you can see, new bandages have been applied to his face. He looks a little bit better, but still kind of like in the spitting and gravelly voiced kind of condition. He doesn't seem particularly impressed by your personage. And he sort of says, "Hope your stomach can take it." He rolls his tongue within his mouth a little and takes one of the hard tacks and puts it on the other side, gingerly trying to avoid moving his jaw too much.
Isabel will take a piece and just sigh, and as she does, she'll say, "I've eaten worse. I've been staying in Novigrad."
You've eaten worse than Novigrad. Looks can be deceiving, eh? Thought you would have been up at the Passiflora. As a guest, he sort of...
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah. The social graces elude me sometimes. I hope you can forgive me.
I'll find it within me, sure. So what happened to your face?
Got myself shaven.
And I'm the Duchessa of Toussaint.
It's marvelous to meet you.
Just give him like a shitty look.
Silent stare. There's nothing else. I have a feast to distribute.
Go ahead.
Goes over to you, Phalanus, and kind of hands out a couple pieces of hardtack.
Kind of just like, wake up. Oh, okay. And just grab some. Thank you.
He doesn't say anything to you as he goes off to Órlaith and kind of knocks on the cart door, assuming you're not awake.
Also, I took the liberty of rolling a grooming in style as well for Susie's sake. And I got 17.
Hey.
Dang.
I woke up like this.
Orla would, after a few moments, probably open the door slowly, looking pretty tired.
Breakfast of a sort.
It'll do fine. Thank you very much.
Take a few pieces, and he turns and looks around. There's a bloody witcher.
Why wouldn't they?
He looks to Isabel and Phalanus.
Probably fucked off to his own camp. I don't know.
He wasn't here when we went to sleep.
Talon?
I'll have probably headed back. Sort of at this point, with a liquid breakfast that's purely designed to, keep him warm. No other reason.
He's got a protein shake.
A Scotch protein shake, yeah.
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 A very intense protein shake.
He's real awake.
I just kind of stroll back into the middle of everything.
Wordlessly, he just hands you some hardtack.
I'll take some, and then just sort of keep on walking towards the rest of them.
So I'm to assume that you're the one that's supposed to solve this problem?
I mean, that's why I'm here.
Good.
And the rest.
Good. Yes.
Sorry, just to break up this beautiful morning chat we're all having, Talon, where the fuck were you?
Well, I just thought it'd be better to stay a little bit further away, just in case the Andrago, decided to have a midnight snack.
Ah, yes. So you, the master tactician, thought that if the Andraga would attack somewhere that they already maybe could smell there were people who were injured and weakened, your thought was to stay away from the potential Andraga bait. You were going
No,
to...
I was. I had a bigger fire.
The first option seems like the more sensible tactic, if you ask me.
Mm.
Look, I did my best on the fire.
It was a perfectly adequate fire, Phalanus.
Thank you. I tried so hard for you.
It's appreciated.
I was trying to make it so that if they were to head this way, I would be more noticeable than you.
Excuse me, I'm just sorry, it just satisfied my curiosity a little bit. What is the nature of your three's relationship? I'm a little confused. I mean, obviously, I can understand why you're here, Master Witcher, but I'm a little intrigued as to why the other two are present.
Can't you see? Barathas. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Barathas
I mean,
at this point.
I wasn't going to say it, Barathas.
Can't you see? The brother and sister, all of them.
No, I just get paid and flirt. That's all.
What's a life to lead?
The best.
I get paid and fight.
That sounds somewhat less desirable.
Hmm.
And what about you? You seem to be dressed a little too finely to be out here.
I am, yes. Great at observation skills. Trust me. If I didn't have to be, I wouldn't be here.
No, you've not been conscripted into some sort of involuntary servitude to these two, have you?
Conscripted? No, perhaps try more threatened with execution.
Threatened? A lady of means like yourself. You must have quite the heavy price hanging over your head.
Oh, well, to some people, yes.
Interesting. Interesting little company we find ourselves surrounded by. Hey, Barathas?
He says nothing and just sort of stares at each of you very intently.
Give him an eyebrow.
Just kind of shoving hardtack in my mouth and just like, what?
I like you. You're straight and to the point.
Then I'm done with this conversation. He's kind of mumbles to himself, going out to the other side of the cart and sort of producing a pipe from his person.
Isabel mutters softly under her breath, "Thank Lebioda for small mercies." So, Talon, you're the expert. Where do we start?
Well, we have to start working our way towards the nest, and the only place we know where, at least the vague direction, is where the attack happened. We'll have to work our way from there.
And then what? When we're there?
Well, if we're being sent to retrieve the items, then that's what we'll do. We're not being sent to exterminate the hive. So, find the items.
So stealth might be a wise choice here.
Just be aware that there could be a lot of them.
All right. I wonder if we could have our Witcher go in, our dear Witcher, and kick the hive and get him running. Then some of us go in and grab what we can and get out.
See, to get to the hive, you'd have to get through quite a few of them anyway. So preferably, since we only have to retrieve everything from the caravan, let's maybe not have to deal with the hive straight away. Plus, I don't have any explosives on me.
How are you planning to bring the contents of the caravan back, presuming the horses are, well, definitely all slaughtered? I assume it would be much quicker if, well, it depends on the nature of the carts, whether they're still intact or not. I could bring a beast with us, or I see you have your own as well.
Bring Twinkle.
All right, in that case, Yuna can stay here. She does not need to be put in harm's way.
I could bring mine as well.
All right.
I mean, as far as I know, it doesn't have a name, so...
It doesn't.
Wow,
That's
aren't you fucking cold?
Swigged from the flask. It's not that cold.
Don't worry, it'll probably be dead soon.
Right. And then there is the matter of my cart. If I am coming with you, I am loath to leave it alone.
Reasonable.
At the same time, it seems to forego any sort of stealth if I was to bring it with us. Now, Barathas, I don't exactly trust people I've just met, but I will be taking all of the numbing herbs and other such poultice ingredients with me on the assurance that when I return, they will of course be made available to you again, but in the meantime to dissuade you from running away with my worldly possessions, perhaps?
A plume of smoke arises from the other side of the cart, and you hear a sort of grumble. I can do without.
I mean, I do have a witcher with me. I wouldn't be that hard to find you afterwards, even if you did take off with all my belongings anyway.
Oh, I do like her.
Uh-huh.
You underestimate my ability to hide.
Yes.
You underestimate my ability to find.
Taking bets now.
Well, I certainly don't underestimate how much a cart sticks out, so you might be able to hide yourself pretty well, but perhaps not a donkey and a cart, and I'm telling you, Yuna is one fucking loud donkey. So...
At this, you hear a loud bray.
She does it on command.
Look at Twinkle. Why don't you do that?
Dumbass donkey.
Dumbass.
Dumbass.
Could have just ended it there.
You see Twinkle kind of flit her ear at a fly. Or is it his or her? I can't remember.
It's a her.
Yeah, flit her ear at a fly.
Yeah, say it. That's okay. I love you, baby.
What was that? It's not a donkey.
That was a cat. I don't know. I don't know how donkeys sound like. Whatever.
Loud.
E-O.
Yeah. They're more of a...
They're very graceful.
I've owned one, okay? I know.
Can I
that
just
better?
mention that just today, not but a few hours ago, Talsarian Games added us to their list of actual play games to watch. This has just happened.
They should watch this. Everybody
That should be an
watch
alert noise. Just be making
I'm
that
sorry,
up.
but this is art.
Yeah. Greatest art. Games to watch. Oh no.
Oh,
no.
boy.
We've got.
Now, is it to watch out for?
Well, you know,
Oh yeah.
probably the latter now.
Should have read the fine print.
Mm.
Oh well. Anyway, the strange sounding donkey has brayed and whatever. And Barathas seems to acquiesce to your request, and he's just kind of, you see a hand kind of wave out as sort of a affirmative, like, okay, fine, whatever.
Lovely. Crossbow. How they work, right?
It's cocked just like a fucking AK, I guess.
Oh goodness.
Alright, well, yeah, I'll get it packing up my belongings. I guess my mirror.
Do you have time after doing your hair? Okay. Don't want to rush you or anything.
No,
Wait,
I
this
get
is where we're supposed to like each other, right? Sorry, I'll stop.
Yeah, we're supposed to. Yeah, we're not supposed to hate
Oh,
each
I
other.
get-
we're
In
gonna
this
supposed to
one
get along.
campaign, Jamie,
Yeah.
we can do it. This
Mhm.
say I
one-
give that. Phelennis gives the stink eye. Like,
I just smile at everyone. It's fine.
Put my mirror away. Put my makeup away.
Are we ready?
yeah,
I'm ready.
pretty much everything just fits in like my one little bag. Like I have one pair of clothes. So
Oh, buddy.
I'm poor. Things were going fine, and then they weren't.
I mean, if you need clothes, I could probably sort you out with something if you got to pay for it.
I don't.
Well, then we will have a problem.
It's fine. It's been this way for a while. I gave the last of what I had to people that needed it. So
Does not compute.
Yeah, what is this?
well, you
charity?
see, okay, if you put it this way, they let me stay with them, so I basically paid rent.
Pay.
Everyone roll a business check.
Wait, for real?
No.
I mean, I am basically renting out my caravan to this sort over here, so.
Yeah, same, yeah. It didn't feel right to not pay them for, taking up space. So
So you're just going to talk nonsense, or you're actually going to do your job, Master Witcher?
don't recall asking you a goddamn thing.
A plume of smoke is puffed in reply.
And I don't recall speaking nonsense. I've been stood here quietly waiting.
Mm-hmm. I was packing up, and we're headed out.
Shall we?
Well, there we go. I suppose you'll be leading the way then, at least for a little while.
Ah, fuck yeah, I forgot.
Wow.
Oh.
A well-oiled machine. Honestly, I'm in awe.
Excuse me, it's been a long night and I've been having nightmares about giant crab demon ants, so you can fuck right off.
Kind of look over at Isabella like, I think I love this woman.
Oh boy.
I will head off in that direction.
Well, in that case, I will follow.
As will I.
I got Twinkle in tow.
I've mounted up, by the way. I'm on my horsey.
Same.
Okay, so 2 horses, a donkey.
Fine, I'll get on the donkey, yeah.
Okay, 2 horses, a donkey.
I mean, I left mine behind. So.
Is your guide just on foot as you follow behind? With 3 horses, or 2 horses and a goddamn...
I'm just saying, I don't feel very safe out here.
Do you want to ride? I mean,
if someone's got some space, I
will ride up alongside Talon and go, now I know you're probably not from that area, but in Toussaint there's a thing called chivalry, and chivalry is where gallant gentlemen such as yourselves will see a lady walking on the road such as our companion here and offer them a ride.
Well, now you see, I was going to offer the ride anyway, because it would be more efficient. However, if you're saying it upholds the social standing of where you're from, perhaps you should be the one to offer such services. If you're the one that really cares about appearances.
But you see, sir, I'm not a knight of Toussaint.
I get
I'm
off
not
the
a witcher.
donkey and I look at Orla, offer to Orla.
Well, thank you very much. That's incredibly kind of you. I'll make sure to remember this courtesy.
As this like back and forth between Isabella and Talon is happening, just in the background we see you just see like Phelan has offered the donkey.
I'm like noticing that she's always offering people riding on it. No, I can't finish that.
You can't finish it.
I can't. But we all know where that was going.
Yeah, no, it's
Philinus?
Yes.
You have a very fine ass.
Thank you. So I've been told.
well that yeah. Games to watch. Our Telesorian games. We promise.
Exactly what people
Good
show up
content.
for.
Also, just thinking about it, if the one that's leading us is now riding the donkey, then we all have to go at the donkey's pace.
Well, y'all should have figured your shit out.
Apparently chivalry is fucking dead in the north.
It's the north. What do you... Never mind.
If you two are quite finished, it's this way.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I just don't even register, I just follow.
All right.
It's great.
Oh.
Oh my god. Okay. Orla, roll me just what would this be? Let's just make it a general intelligence check. So just roll a d10 and add your intelligence.
Okie dokie. 13.
All right. The memory is recent enough that you at least recall where along the path it did occur. As you continue to ride south, sort of in a southeasterly direction towards Erston, through the woods, the land becomes much more malleable and soft. Even the road itself begins to sort of shrivel and kind of become encased in this slick ice and slush mixture. It's hazardous conditions for most people, and indeed, as y'all ride along, I'd like you all, at least the ones on horses, to make riding checks just to make sure that y'all can, comfortably navigate these somewhat crappy conditions.
Banking on you, Felinus.
20.
18.
Okay.
Oh,
And Orla, I think.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
Orla's on Twinkle.
Orla's on
I'm
the donkey.
tramping along
Oh,
the
okay.
side.
Cool.
Yeah, 'cause there can't fit two of us on a little baby donkey.
That makes sense. Cool. In that case.
If you were dwarves, maybe.
Maybe. No, yeah. But like.
Gnomes for sure, but.
Yeah.
19.
Okay, so luckily none of you suffer from any of the ill consequences of, badly tempered mounts. As you walk along, the ice slowly dissipates, and there's sort of a mud slurry that coats the forest floor. Y'all are getting into the proper swamplands of this place, and it's just as horrendous as most of you can recall. Even in the daylight, there's still a sort of darkness that clings to the woods, and a heavy mist that weaves in and out of the trees. The sky itself is dull and gray. The atmosphere is oppressive and oh so tainted by what you can't quite say, but it's not pleasant. Isabel in particular, through months of travel, this sort of set of familiar conditions. You're loath to see it again so soon.
I'm gonna take my bow out and just have it ready.
I'd like to say,
one arrow just knocked and ready.
Sure.
As we're traveling, I'm definitely keeping eyes, ears, everything, just making sure nothing bad happens.
All right. Well, if y'all would like, I would actually have you all roll awareness checks just in case.
Oh,
Sure.
boy.
But I don't like that one. This one. Ooh.
21.
19.
18.
15.
19, 18. All right. 21, 19, 18, and 15?
Yeah.
I think it was?
Yeah.
Okay. Orla, you rolled the 21?
Yeah.
You specifically hear the trees kind of groan as the wind blows through. There seems to be a much stronger wind that was only preluded the night before. It bustles and hustles through the trees, chilling all within its grasp. Luckily, it's a little bit soft. It's a little bit softer and softened by the thicket. But as you are chilled, you do recall only but a mile down, that's where the incident occurred. And indeed, all of you can sort of see through the thick fog elements of some sort of horrific mound. It's strange and alien, at least from this distance and through this much obfuscation. I think I used that word correctly. As you continue along the path, Talon, you said you rolled a 16?
19.
19. It's faint, but it's much clearer than it was before. Unburdened by the thicket and unburdened by the myriad sounds of the night. That same clicking, as if rocks were falling against each other. As you continue forward, there's actually a loud hiss that each of you hears, as you see two of these sort of amorphous globs clawing and punching at each other. without warning almost, a third jumps into the fray from the mound, slamming one of the smaller figures into the ground with a loud thud. A thunderous clash ensues. And before long, one of these smaller forms falls silent and still. The hissing continues, the clacking incessant. Talon specifically, I'd like you to roll Witter training.
So we said that was the +3 dice and intelligence, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 23.
23, okay. From a 23, you know this is not typical behavior of the Endriga. There are strict castes imposed by whatever queen there is within the vicinity for what you assume to be a warrior to strike out against workers or drones or whatever is small. That's unheard of. The queen would be furious, and that rogue Endriga would be, rooted out. It's fine for the drones to fight, but the warriors are meant to protect. And the workers are meant to keep to themselves. And indeed, as you sort of think and reflect upon the situation, especially with that 23, some abnormalities occur. Sure, Endriga infests swampland, but this is barely the edge of the swamp. And indeed, a road would hopefully be harder to pierce through. Though with the construction, you think perhaps being weakened by winter, it's a little bit easier. However, the behavior is what catches you off guard most. These don't seem to be coordinated, unified fronts. These seem to be entities reduced to their most base instincts. And indeed, as you continue along, the cloud of mist kind of unfurls, blows away, and you see scattered amongst the road, a little bit away from the mound that has been created, there are limbs, horse and human alike, freshly stripped of flesh and blood caking the gravel. The rest of you see this as well.
I let everyone know that it's unusual behavior, so just everyone be on guard.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, the different classes, there's a class system with them. Normally, they don't behave like this, meaning infighting for some reason is happening. So just be cautious. They might be fighting each other as well as us, and they're just acting very strangely.
What
Could they be missing their queen?
That's a potential outcome, yes. I thought the same, but usually the warriors protect, and they'll protect until, I mean, we don't really know. They could be without a queen, they could be waiting on a new queen to mature. It's uncertain right now. Just be aware that they don't act the way they normally would, so be very cautious.
All right.
I don't need to be told twice. I'm hanging way back.
Well, then let's not tarry here when we don't need to.
Can we see any... I mean, we see the remains of body parts, but can we see anything that's more caravan-like?
That would be an awareness check for anybody who'd want to.
I think I'd be looking as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Mm.
that's a 10.
17.
24.
16.
Interesting. All right, Isabel. You try to keep your wits about you, but as soon as you see the viscera sort of strewn about, your sensibilities kind of wash over you, and the full effect of "why the hell am I here?"
Mm-hmm.
kind of solidifies in your mind. The rest of you, however, notice that amorphous mound. Those are 2 carts which have been smashed together with strips of silk and other sort of tailoring accoutrement interspersed between them. This seems to be some sort of nest of some description. Talon, you as well, with your monster lore, or excuse me, Witcher training, understand that this is not atypical, but the construction seems to be rather haphazard and very much not in line with, well, excuse me, not out of line with what you know of the insectoid sort of subspecies. They use whatever they can to ensure that their habitat is secure.
Fun times. We're probably going to have to... Well, we're not, but someone's going to have to clean that when we get it back. Right. I was hoping we wouldn't have to go too close to the nest, but it seems the nest is where we need to go.
Is there anything salvageable from that?
Some, definitely not all.
There'll be plenty of stuff that they can't eat.
As you say this, Orla, you actually sort of cast your eyes back to the bodies and note that indeed there are actually bits of silk and sort of twine that have been regurgitated amidst all the viscera and whatnot. Talon, I'll say you saw this as well.
I assume they can't eat gold.
They'll try, maybe, if they're hungry enough.
The hissing begins again as you see the head of the warrior kind of monitoring the area, scratching at the ground and keeping careful watch.
Okay.
So I assume if we're going to the nest, we'll have to get through that, at least.
Mm-hmm.
This is what a witcher's for, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going into stealth.
I would much prefer to survey the area a little bit before heading in. What with them being a hive-based insect, they probably will swarm as soon as they can.
All right.
You hear visceral clicking as the warrior kind of motions to the worker before a screech is heard and the worker buries its claw into the dirt. The mound itself begins to shift and move and collapse in onto itself as 2 more workers come through the nest and sort of, having been summoned by the warrior, begin to patrol the area more closely.
Isabel sort of makes a gesture with her hand, and as she does it looks like she pulls out a wooden staff out of nowhere. I don't think we'll have quite time for that, Talon.
Mm-hmm. Part of me wants to lead some of them away, deal with them separate to the rest of the nest.
Yes, pull them away. If we get swarmed, that's a terrible, terrible thing for all of us involved.
Okay, then. Well, in that case, who wants to make a distraction?
Just looking at him.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Talon.
The warrior screeches once more, its piercing howl ringing in each of your ears. Battle plans will have to be drawn, but they will have to be drawn next session.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Once I understand how the game works, decisions will be easier to make.
Yeah. Right?
Oh.
Well,
We survived.
we
Well,
did.
We made it! Another
made it.
episode.
We
End of-
were about to die. Salute to you.
Yay. All right, everyone. That was it. That was it. Hope y'all enjoyed it.
Let's take care of the outro.
But we're spectacular at the outros too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so buckle in, because we're about to hit you with another. But yeah, so thank you everybody for tuning in to another episode of Grains of Truth. We sincerely hope you did enjoy watching it. If you did, please consider dropping the channel a follow so you can be notified next time we go live with either the next episode of Grains of Truth, which will be 2 weeks today. So that will be the next day is, let me check my calendar really, really quick. It'll be the 5th of February is our next session. As we are every other week with this game. Or if you like this show, we do a bunch of other shows on here too. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we have content on here. So please do consider following us if you liked it. You can catch up with past VODs, and this will go up soon on YouTube, which will pop up in chat for you right now. So yeah, please do follow us on there. You'll be able to catch up with past, present, and future episodes. Also, I want to say, hey, welcome Rachel, who played Órlaith today, who is our new cast member for this show. She's going to be with us for this campaign. Órlaith is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to getting to know her more.
Thank you so much for having me.
Always good to have another on board. Always good.
And if you missed it, Rachel actually drew all our characters and put them on Twitter. And they're very, 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 very good. So please do go give her a follow at Talinia, which is right below her character name. I don't have anything else to plug or anything to say before we go. So any last words?
That makes it sound more sinister.
Yeah.
Last words.
Yeah, that's...
It's a bit worrying.
Yeah. My last words will be till next time.
Yeah.
My last word will be soon. Yeah.
Oh, that's even more sinister.
Soon.
Soon.
Any last words?
You know why.
Okay, then. That's it from us. But before we go, what we're going to do is we're going to see if we have any friends online. And we're going to go raid them.
Sure. Hey.
And actually, speaking of friends, Encounter Roleplay are currently live with Call of Cthulhu Beyond the Mountains of Madness. So we're going to go raid them. Please go show them some love. Give them a follow. And we shall see you all soon. Let me just put this in real quick. Play.
Everybody wait for 20 seconds so that it becomes awkward.
See you later, folks.